My computer's pretty loud, but I hope you can hear me. We're going to be watching one of my videos today. And okay, let's see how it goes. I'll basically be narrating throughout the video. So this piece is an inspiration I had because we had another snowstorm recently. A little bit of snowfall hit us here on the East Coast, and yeah, it just got inspired. The name of the drawing is Mr. Winter's Last Snowball, because it felt like this was the last storm we were going to get. I'm a bit of a enthusiast for snow skiing, so I like when it snows. That's basically where the idea for this came from, though. From the snowstorm hitting, and then I thought to myself, well, this is pretty much the last hurrah, so maybe I will embody that in a drawing. That's basically what I was thinking. But let's see. So here I am starting with a brush pen. I'm mixing water with ink and keeping the mixture very light to achieve just basically an outline. Now I know I colored in the shadow under the hat there, but I kind of regret that later on. Looking back on it, the proportions aren't right, and I should have. That's one of the main reasons I only outline it first. When I start my drawing, I only outline with this very light wash of ink. A simple, very thin outline, just to get the basic shapes down. First, obviously, I start with a sketch, with a pencil. It's rough. If I start using Copics, I've noticed with the pencil, it makes the pencil very permanent, and then I don't have an ability to play with the drawing later on. So typically, the way I do it is light wash of the ink and water. Very, very thin though. In spots on this drawing, I went a little bit too dark, like on the eyebrow and on the eye. That's way too dark, and around the bottom side of the hat, the opening to the hat, the underside, I went way too dark there. Typically, I go really light so that if I want to change or modify something later on, it's much easier to do so if you have a very light underdrawing. So I start with the pencil sketch, which is a little muddied, and I erase that after I do the wash with the very thin outline. And once again, I don't like to color in the shadows until I get to that point with the Copics right here, where I start outlining and finding the shadows after I've done the sketch in ink. But I do it so lightly that I can really change things like drastically, because later on I can just darken it and go over it and change the illusion of where the line was or where it will be, where it will fall. I get to dictate that, as long as I keep the underdrawing, the solid under inking, very light in the beginning. I can change proportions later on. I can do a lot of cool things, but right there my Copic was a little bit overflowed with, I put too much liquid in it, and halfway through the nose, a big blotch showed up and just splattered out the end of it. Because if you hold the Copics upside down for too long, then all that ink inside runs to the side, and it saturates the tip. And then if you touch it or move the tip the wrong way when it's completely saturated like that, it'll just dump out basically. And that's what happened there halfway through the nose. And I corrected it. I caught it before it got real bad. I just tipped the pen. All you do is tip the pen back up the opposite direction of where it was, the other side, and like gravity pull that ink, that extra saturation back down, and that'll help. And then you have to go very quickly when you draw, and then tip it back up for double the time that you drew. Then as you draw your line, get done quick and tip it back up, because when it's oversaturated like that, it's very easy to ruin a drawing. It'll just run and bleed right out the end of the pen. So you got to be careful. Never overfill your Copics. But Copics, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, I went too dark with the ink wash or the ink lines in the beginning. But see, this is where I come in now with my pencil. I can do pen. I have done pen outlines. I just really like the matte effect of a pencil, a sharp pencil. It seems like it's not darker and it doesn't make it pop more, but it's more fun for me. The effect is a cooler effect, and I can achieve that darkness if I want. Also, I don't need it to be super black, because some of my drawings I put into Krita. I used Krita, and that I go in there and I can make them as black as I want after in the digital realm. So I just it's just a preference thing. I happen to like the matte, the cooler matte effect of a pencil outline rather than pen. The pen is very harsh. I've never been a very good or very interested in inking. I always like to sketch. I always like to draw. And when I found mixed media, I was like entranced. It's really great. So I'm still learning though. Still learning, lots of techniques to learn. I will start inking more in the future. That is something I want to get into. Just haven't really had the time, and kind of just focus more on the drawing aspect of things and using a pencil, keeping my hand familiar with how the pencil feels. So, and the weight of the pencil and how it lays down lines, and I want to master that first before I move to ink. I've been going through stages like that throughout my whole life, really, with my art, where I don't feel, unless I'm good enough with one tool, I don't move to the next, typically. So I have a long way to go with Copics. I want to master them though. I want to get very good with them in my own way, and I want to still master my pencil technique, which I'm getting pretty close. I feel like there's not much I can't do with a pencil, not many effects I can't achieve. So I really want to continue though, and keep expanding my knowledge regarding my pencil work. So here I'm still just basically tracing over that light outline, and what's cool is with my pencil, I'm trying to zoom in here to show you, but I don't believe it didn't zoom in enough. When I go, the reason I go light in the beginning with the ink wash outline is so that now I can change the lines. It may not look like I'm changing them much now in the video, but like those 2 lines on the gloves, I make them look embossed, like they've been sewn on or stuck on, glued on to the glove. Whereas when I was drawing it initially, it didn't look like that. But then with my pencil afterward, I was able to achieve that effect because I went so light with the ink wash in the beginning. So just go light, light to dark, and that works for me. Some people go dark to light, and they can play around in the middle, the light to the dark to the light. They can play around in the middle, but I tend to mess up paper when I go backwards, so I just like light to dark, and that's how I'm going to stay focused. I'm going to stay focused on that, and I'll be producing more videos in the future, and stay tuned. Thanks again for watching, and subscribe if you can. Thank you.